Some say the ease of single-use vapes is important for those trying to give up smoking.
We've seen countries like Australia try and instigate a ban, and actually what this has done is fuel the black market with illegal, illicit products that actually affect consumer safety to an even greater degree.
The government insists it'll stamp out any black market, and smokers trying to quit will still get access to refillable vapes.
But this is a government that encouraged the use of vapes to get people to give up smoking.
If those products are banned, as I say, we applaud the efforts because we are appalled of the access from rogue traders through this product set. But come to a specialist, reputable retailer and you'll have a plethora of simple devices that people can transition to, and the key thing there is to enable them to be simple, that smokers can access them in the same simple way that they can access combustible cigarettes.
The real concern here is that, yes, how do we ensure that the safety of these products only goes into the hands of adult smokers? But the concern around a ban, if that border enforcement or local trading standards money doesn't get to the right place, is this would really revert many smokers back to that killer, which is combustible cigarettes.
I wonder if I can just ask, very specifically on the ban on disposable vapes, is that a good idea?
Well, in isolation, you could ordinarily say that a ban is a good thing because of this appalling access that youths have had to these products. But the key is to understand the drivers of that, and that is the illicit market and the rogue traders that don't adhere by the regulation that already exists. So the key here is the greater funds that are being placed to enforcement agencies that are also in the bill that's been announced as well. Because otherwise, if you're aware of the Australian position, they put a ban in place. And what actually took place is it actually drove a little boy into the black market that is exactly the area that's been flouting the existing regulation, let alone new regulation that the government is suggesting today.
So you, just to be clear, you would prefer for disposable vapes not to be banned, but for there to be greater enforcement of the current rules around not selling to under 18s in and around vape shops?
Correct. That would be a great start. But to your point, if the ban comes into effect and we recognise the appalling access that users have had to these products, then it must be joined up with more resources to trading standards.
Yeah, and the fact that you can go into any high street vape shop and buy illegal vapes anyway as it stands suggests that it could be they just carry on selling them regardless, disposables.
Yeah, and what you'll find is the reputable sector, and there's many shops that have been trading for many, many years, putting in place the rigorous protocols around ensuring these don't get into the hands of youths, will do exactly the right thing as they always had. But the problem being, it's not them that are the issue. It's the road traders that aren't adhering by existing legislation, let alone the new announcements, that are the key area that we've got to tackle.
I have a 15-year-old daughter. I can categorically tell you it is a popular product among children. Does that give you pause at all?
Absolutely. I mean, we're absolutely appalled about the fact that children have got access to these products. But the key is there's regulation that exists today to stop that. And it's the reputable retailers that work tirelessly to ensure they don't get into the hands of youths. So the fact that the product per se is not the issue, albeit I recognise a number of manufacturers that we've actually launched a code of conduct to eradicate any of these emotional flavour descriptors and ensure that actually the popular flavours that smokers need as part of their successful quit attempts are available. But you're absolutely right. Existing regulation, let alone this ban, should not put these products into the hands of youths. And that's where reputable retailers need to adhere to their obligations.
So you don't feel guilt about your industry at all?
I've worked in many industries across my 25-year career, and actually I've never felt as purposed as when you listen to a smoker that's been transformed through actually finding vaping and then potentially stopping vaping. There's nothing more pleasing than having played a part in that.
Would you work for a tobacco company?
I wouldn't.
Because you think it's immoral?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
But vaping isn't. Mark, it's a really interesting perspective, and I know people have very strong views on it, but you can live with this disposable ban then. You think your industry, your part of the industry can cope with disposable vapes being banned?
As long as the resources are put behind the fact to enforce it. Otherwise, I could walk up a high street with you today in your local area and see these products that are illegal and illicit in shop windows, and it's key that we eradicate these rogue traders today and never mind a ban in the future.
Marcus Saxton, good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
He is the chairman of the...
What about the look of these products as well? I mean, they look like sweets. They're meant to look like sweets, aren't they? I mean, colourful, packaged like sweets.
Yeah, some of them, and often when you cite these products, you'll see that is the illegal and illicit part of the market. You will never find a reputable business putting cartoon characters or overly enticing product packaging together, and many of those are the illegal market today. Yes, they want to present them professionally. This needs to be the smoking cessation tool that it's set out to, and packaging needs professional, but certainly there's no place for overly enticing using of the attractive packaging that you described, which never would be used by a reputable manufacturer.
What about the situation we see with regular tobacco now, hidden away behind in a cupboard, sliding door, that they're not on display? Can you see a point where that will happen with vapes?
I don't think it should be for many years. YouGov did a study earlier this year in January of nearly 3,000 adults. Only 2 in 10 of those adults could correctly cite that vaping is materially safer. We've got a really big job to do here to get back on the correct path that says that vaping is materially safer. And if too quickly they run to the ban, they put them behind closed gantries, the already confused adults will effectively stick with the products which are already killing 2 out of 3 of them. And that would be an absolute tragedy if a smoker doesn't seek out vaping because they have concern over safety, because they see it in plain packaging, behind closed doors, in the same way that tobacco is the known killer is.
The whole point of the vape, if you like, the e-cig, was to wean people off regular tobacco, not to be a substitute, kind of swap one thing for the other. Is that the case, though, that, people will leave tobacco, but they will just be hooked on vapes now? So you've swapped one addiction for another, really?
Yeah, I understand that might be many people's point of view. The key here is, and has been proven for many, many years and advocated by Public Health England, Cancer Research and many other leading academics, is that vaping is substantially safer than smoking. And the key here is, yes, nicotine is addictive, but that's a key part for a smoker will need. That what makes vaping so successful. So the key thing is here, and every smoker must understand vaping is proven to be materially safer than smoking, and it would be a tragedy if any smoker doesn't make that switch to help them in a successful quit attempt.
Yeah, your thoughts are very welcome on that. That's Marcus Saxton.
He's from the Independent British Vape Trading Association. He works for the company Totally Wicked Vapes. He joins us now. Liam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Toby.
Tell us about this announcement then. What do you make to it?
We're very disappointed. Clearly, there is an issue with youth uptake of disposable vapes, but actually there are far more adults than people under the age of 18 that use the products, and they use them almost exclusively instead of smoking. So it's disappointing that a product that has been so effective in helping adults to find an alternative that they enjoy should be affected by a ban because of child uptake. And I've never heard of anything like that happening before with any consumer product that's intended for adults. The more normal way to deal with these things is to make sure that the age of sale legislation is properly enforced.
But we know they can't do that because we've all been and picked kids up from school. It's like either the engine stood outside the schools that I've been picking kids up at, so we know they're not enforcing it. So something must be done. Surely a pack of cigarettes is now, what, 15 quid? Surely even non-disposable vapes are cheaper than buying cigarettes. Is price point really an issue?
No, and it's a really interesting thing from the consumer point of view, is that if you buy a refillable e-cigarette, you're probably going to be able to recharge it between 150 and 300 times rather than throwing it away after the first day. So the fact that it costs a little bit more really doesn't come into the equation at the end of the first week. So vaping with non-disposable products is actually much more cost effective. And we always encourage all of our customers that disposable products are not the best thing for the environment. They are not the best thing for the cost effectiveness of them vaping. However, they have been something that people will just pick up instead of a packet of cigarettes. And because of that, I think a lot of social smoking has been driven down by the fact that there have been people in their 20s and 30s that only smoke occasionally and are now vaping instead. So the challenge is going to be to try to encourage all of those people that they don't need to go back to smoking.
They're often sold in smaller, more colourful packaging, the disposable vapes. You know, the government have said this, and they believe it's a key driver behind the alarming rise in youth vaping, along with these flavours of sweets, gummy bears, for example. Can you accept the fact that they're very attractive to children and young people when they look and taste like that?
Yes, I understand completely that they're attractive to children and young people, but it is unusual that when you've got a product that's intended solely for adults, but is still attractive to young to people under the age of 18, that you just ban the product completely. I've never heard of that happening.
But
with
it is
any
only
consumer
one of the
product
products.
in
We're
past.
not banning vapes here totally, are we? It's just the disposable ones.
I understand entirely, and certainly within Totally Wicked, we have been making really, really good alternatives to disposables that are very attractive to any of the people coming into our shops, available for many years now, and very much so since the rise of disposables. Is we would prefer that our customers vape something that's refillable rather than something that's disposable, because aside from any of the child uptake problems, they're a bit of an environmental problem. There's no reason why a battery can't be recharged 150 times, yet with disposables we throw them away after not recharging them once.
Do you welcome the plain packaging, which looks like one of the steps going forwards as well, rather than the attractive colours?
I think plainer packaging is what's actually been mooted, and I don't know whether the government has actually got in mind exactly what this is going to mean. I certainly hope it won't be in the same way as tobacco products are in plain packaging, everything in drab olive colours, because I think that may well lead a lot of smokers to think, okay, well, vaping must be as harmful as smoking, and we've already got a problem that very few smokers are able to identify that vaping is very much safer than smoking.